Welcome, and thank you for joining me. My name is writer and author Rita Weston, and I am delighted to introduce you to my contemporary romance book series Hearts Entwined Through Time, a three-part audiobook collection that explores love, emotional resilience, and the deeply personal journeys that shape who we become. In this first video, you'll be listening to chapters 1 through 5 of 16 chapters, starting over with Brody Carter, the opening novel in this book series. This story is told through the voice of Ruby White, the central protagonist of the book. Through her eyes, her thoughts, and her emotions, you will experience a deeply personal and intimate journey into love, vulnerability, and self-discovery. Ruby is a woman who does not expect her life to change, not in any significant way. But everything begins to shift the moment she meets Brody Carter. Brody is a man defined by control, responsibility, and a carefully structured life. On the surface, he appears steady and composed, yet beneath that exterior lies a complexity that Ruby slowly begins to uncover. As their paths cross and their lives become increasingly intertwined, Ruby finds herself drawn into something she cannot easily explain, a connection that challenges her understanding of love, of trust, and of what it truly means to open one's heart. Through Ruby's narration, this story unfolds not only as a romance, but as an emotional journey, one that explores the quiet moments, the unspoken feelings, and the gradual transformation that occurs when two lives begin to change because of one another. Starting over with Brody Carter is, at its heart, a story about second chances, about the courage to feel again, to trust again, and to believe that even after uncertainty, something meaningful can still be found. If you find yourself drawn into Ruby's story, this novel, along with the complete Hearts Entwined Through Time series, is available to purchase in both e-Kindle format and paperback editions on Amazon.com and Amazon UK. Your support means a great deal and allows these stories to continue reaching listeners and readers around the world. Please like and leave a comment here on my YouTube channel. Now, I invite you to take a moment to relax, to immerse yourself, and to experience this story as it unfolds through Ruby's voice. This is Starting Over with Brody Carter. Thank you for listening, and I hope you truly enjoy my book journey series. Starting Over with Brody Carter by Rita Weston. Copyright 2025 by Rita Weston. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be used or reproduced in any form whatsoever without written permission, except in the case of brief quotations in critical articles or reviews. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, businesses, organizations, places, events, and incidents are either the product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to current persons, living or dead, events, or localities is entirely coincidental. Printed in the United Kingdom. For more information or to book an event, contact https://romanceauthor hubcopy base app. Book design by Kindlepreneur. Cover design by coverdesignai.com. ISBN paperback 9798289469175. June 2025. Acknowledgements. This book is dedicated to my father John Monroy and late mother Jane Sylvester, who have been my inspiration throughout my life on and off. They have always believed in me to always follow my dreams. Contents: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. An unexpected encounter, terms and conditions. A whirlwind of emotions crossed wires. Ethan's birthday bash, the morning plans, decisive decisions. A convergence of worlds, career versus contentment, personal realizations, forging forward. An evening of celebration, my happy ever after. A new beginning. Epilogue Part 1. A home of our own. Epilogue Part 2. 3 years later. Chapters 1 to 5 only. 1. An unexpected encounter. I adjusted my grip on my young nephew, Oliver, as we navigated the familiar yet slightly faded streets of my hometown. It had been years since I last returned here, and this weekend had pulled me away from my busy city life and previous work commitments. The warm spring sun cast dappled shadows on the pavement, and the scent of blooming flowers filled the air, triggering memories of my joyful childhood, a time of happiness and excitement. As I stood beside Oliver in the cafe, a tall figure walked through the door, and I froze with apprehension, unable to quite make out who this man was. While we both stood at the counter admiring the cakes and muffins on display, I gasped, finally recognizing the face. Brody, a childhood friend of the family. Brody, I called out. Is that really you? Do you remember me? I'm Ruby White, your friend from childhood. Our parents were good pals back in those days. Yeah, Brody replied, a look of recognition dawning on his face. Now I remember you. You were the little girl with the blonde pigtails during the summer when my parents moved here. So, what brings you here? He asked, his voice filled with surprise. I'm looking after Oliver for the weekend, I explained. I have plans to move closer to Oliver's family so we can spend more time together. Brody's expression softened as he saw me with a surprised look evident in his warm smile. Goodness, fancy running into you after all these years, he said with a flirtatious voice, brushing his hair back. I chuckled nervously, glancing at Oliver eyeing the muffins. It's funny, I haven't been here in ages. Brody leaned against the counter with amusement. So, you're moving back? That's a big step. I agreed. My thoughts tangled. I have lived at home on the East Coast for so many years, so I have been thinking about moving back here to this hometown, my old former childhood hometown here in the countryside instead, and reconnect with Oliver's family. Oliver is only a little once. I don't want to miss the good fun bits in his life. Family is important, Brody said, smiling. He seemed more grounded and mature than I remembered. Growing up means figuring out what's really important. Yes, I agreed. Things don't always turn out as planned, but sometimes they turn out as they should. A pause lingered before I spoke again. What about you, Brody? Still living here? Yes, I've got my own construction company now. It's a lot of work but fulfilling. I'm glad you've found your place, I said, impressed. Brody's smile widened. And it's nice seeing familiar faces, especially yours. We shared a quiet moment, realizing how much time had passed and how easy it was to reconnect. Oliver tugged at my sleeve. Can I have a muffin? I smiled down at him, feeling Brody's comforting presence beside me. Sure, kiddo. Brody suggested, catching up over coffee. I'd like that, I replied, smiling. As we exchanged numbers and chatted, I wondered if this meeting marked the beginning of a new chapter, where I could reconnect with my past and perhaps explore something new with Brody, including finding work. My mind buzzed with excitement as I waved goodbye to Oliver beneath the fading light of dusk the next evening and made my journey back to the city. Upon arriving home, I sat on the front steps of my city apartment, a place that now whispered promises of new beginnings in the country town where I reconnected with Brody. That evening, the quiet murmur of the night mingled with my racing thoughts. I remembered Brody's gentle reassurance, his kind words echoing in my mind. Sometimes, the most challenging choices lead to the most beautiful beginnings. The following morning, I awoke with newfound hope, looking forward to my next encounter with Brody. The pull of my hometown and the memories it evoked offered a promising prospect of finding work. Over breakfast, while listening to birds chirping under the spring sun, my phone lit up with a message from Brody. Coffee at the Old Corner Cafe this weekend? I'd love to hear more about what's on your mind. Sure, I replied. I look forward to meeting you this weekend at the same cafe without Oliver. Let's say midday. Brody responded quickly. Yep, that's fine with me. I felt happy to finally reconnect with my long-lost childhood friend. When the weekend finally arrived, I found myself inside the familiar, cozy cafe, its walls lined with vintage photographs and the soft hum of local chatter in the background, as I waited for Brody to arrive. This time, our conversation was enriched with the comfort of reminiscence and the thrill of undiscovered futures. Brody talked about the town's transformation over the years, about new faces and old traditions being revived. I shared my inner tug-of-war, my ambitious drive to move back from the city and the possibility of reconnecting with my roots in this quiet hometown countryside. Brody listened intently. So, what are you really looking for, Ruby? He asked gently, his eyes searching mine with genuine curiosity. I paused, stirring my coffee slowly as if weighing each word. I think I'm looking for balance. A way to honor my family ties while still chasing the dreams I've always wanted. And just maybe get a promotion and settle down here, bringing me closer to Oliver. Brody's smile was soft and understanding, making me feel truly seen. I believe our paths can merge. Your journey, my office and home, and maybe even our shared memories. Life isn't about choosing one over the other. It is about embracing all the parts that make us who we are. In the following hours, I began to explore the old haunts of my youth with a fresh perspective. I visited the park where I once played, reconnected with long-forgotten neighbors, and even attended a community gathering where laughter and shared history filled the air. With every step, I felt the weight of uncertainty slowly shedding away. That same crisp evening, as the town's lights flickered on and painted the streets in a warm glow, Brody and I walked through the town with an air of anticipation. Nostalgia mingled with excitement, we strolled along familiar paths. Brody reached out, taking my hand in his. I'm here, Ruby, for every step of this journey, but only if you are willing to walk it together. Standing there, under the gentle luminescence of street lamps and the soft hum of evening life, I felt the beginnings of something profound take root. In that moment, I realized that my future wasn't defined solely by a bustling city skyline or by the echoes of childhood memories. It was a tapestry woven from both, filled with challenges, changes, and above all, the promise of a new shared tomorrow. As we meandered through the streets, Brody shared more about his construction company and his dreams of growing it further. I confided in him about my hopes of establishing a local accounting practice and how integrating into the community could be both rewarding and fulfilling. It became clear that our professional paths could intertwine, complementing each other's ambitions. The night ended with a quiet understanding that this was just the beginning. With Brody by my side, I felt ready to embrace every twist and turn of this unexpected, beautiful journey. Stepping into this new chapter carried the promise of a long friendship and the potential for something even deeper, an adventure I was now eager and open to exploring. The evening ended quicker than expected, and Brody walked me back to where I was staying, the streets now quiet under the starry sky. The comforting sounds of nighttime, the rustling leaves and distant chirping of crickets, wrapped around us like a familiar blanket. There was a comfortable silence between us, filled with the warmth of shared memories and the anticipation of what lies ahead. When we reached the doorstep, Brody turned to me, his expression softening under the gentle glow of the porch light. I'm really glad we ran into each other again, he said, his voice sincere and full of warmth. It's funny how life brings people back together just when they need it. I acknowledged, feeling a surge of gratitude for this unforeseen turn of events and how perfectly our paths had crossed. Me too, I replied, searching his eyes for understanding. It's nice to feel this connection to my past while stepping into a new future. I've been feeling so lost for a while now, and yet, it feels like I'm finding my way again. Brody smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. Sometimes, all it takes is a nudge from the universe. He paused, his gaze drifting down the street, perhaps reflecting on the twists and turns of his own journey. Then he turned back to me, with a thoughtful look on his face. You know, I've always admired your ambition, Ruby. You have this spark that seems to light up no matter where you are. I felt my cheeks warm at his compliment, but it also brought a sense of vulnerability. It hasn't always felt like that, I admitted hesitantly. Moving back here is a big step, and I worry whether I can create the life I want while finding that balance with my family. What if it doesn't work out? He has stepped a little closer, the sincerity of his presence grounding me. You won't know until you try. And I believe in you. Maybe we can help each other find our way, bring our dreams to life right here in this town. His words resonated with optimism, igniting a flicker of hope within me. I knew he was right. I had spent so long in the city chasing dreams that often felt unattainable, lost among the towering skyscrapers and endless responsibilities. Here, among the familiar sights and simpler rhythms of life, I felt the contours of my aspirations shifting, becoming clearer. We made tentative plans to meet up again soon, eager to continue this journey of rediscovery and perhaps build something new together. Brody mentioned a local community event happening next weekend, suggesting we attend together. I felt a thrill of excitement at the thought of meeting some of the locals and integrating into the community. As Brody leaned in to give me a warm hug, I felt a mixture of comfort and something far deeper, a connection that hinted at the potential of a budding relationship. His embrace was reassuring, grounding me in the moment. "Good night, Ruby," he said softly as we parted, his breath warm against my cheek. "Till next time." "Good night, Brody," I replied, watching him walk away, a smile blooming on my lips that I could not quite contain. As he retired into the night, a bittersweet pang of longing mixed with excitement. It was as if he had rekindled a spark in me, one that I had dimmed during my years in the city. Stepping inside, I found myself reflecting on the evening and the conversations we had shared. The walls of my current life felt less confined, more like a transition point rather than a destination. This town, once a distant memory of my youth, now resembled a canvas ready for new experiences and opportunities. I moved to the window and gazed out at the moonlit streets, imagining all the possibilities that lay before me. The threads of my past were beginning to weave seamlessly with the present, creating a tapestry rich with promise. I felt a sense of belonging and excitement about what was to come. Settling down on the couch, I pulled out my phone to jot down my thoughts. I wanted to remember this moment, the hope, the dreams, the feeling of being alive. My fingers danced across the screen as I wrote about my newfound sense of purpose and the exciting connections I'd made. Each word spilled forth, and I reflected on how much had changed in just a short time. In my heart, I carried the weight of both my fears and my aspirations to start a career rooted in this town while nurturing my connection with Oliver and my family. With Brody's words echoing in my mind and a feeling of contentment warming my heart, I drifted into sleep, ready for whatever the new dawn might bring. As I slept, I dreamed of what could be. Bustling mornings filled with laughter, afternoons spent reminiscing with Brody, and nights enlivened by the charm of the community around me. Each dream wove a future that felt both thrilling and secure.
2.
Terms and conditions.
B.
Brody leaned against his desk, observing the busy workers outside his office. The excitement was palpable, but his thoughts were elsewhere. The possibility of hiring me as a temporary accountant and future nanny seemed like inviting chaos into his orderly life, yet it also promised a much-needed balance. I was radiant that morning, with a carefree attitude that stood in stark contrast to his carefully structured life. He truly admired my buoyant spirit. My laughter had a remarkable ability to brighten even the darkest of days. Yet, a small part of Brody worried him that such vibration could disrupt the world he had built for himself. Would my presence transform his life and bring order to his business? Brody seemed ready to ask me of a possible job offer he envisaged with a company that would be perfect for me, so one weekend he invited me to his office, and he asked, "Would you like to stay here with me and the business as our new accountant? Would you like me to draft a new contract?" I hesitated, snapping him from my thoughts. With my hands on my hips, I radiated some determination and a delightful sense of seriousness, inspiring myself to embrace the unexpected. "Contract? This sounds rather serious," I remarked uneasily. "Are we to include signatures on every page next?" "Perhaps," I responded, his tone unwavering. "It is imperative that we establish ground rules to prevent any violations of boundaries." "Ground rules?" I inquired nervously. "Firstly, we must maintain a professional relationship. There shall be no personal interactions outside of work, and if any issues arise, they must be addressed immediately." "Agreed," I replied, feeling both relieved and cautious as we both defined the terms of our new professional chapter. I have felt a mix of relief and disappointment in my words. Brody was glad his past wouldn't complicate things, but he also wished for a deeper connection. "Okay, I can agree to that," he said reluctantly. "What else?" I leaned against his desk. "Second, clear communication is important. No silent treatments or passive-aggressive notes. If something goes wrong, Let's address it directly. We should cooperate with each other. Fine, fine. I'll do my best. But do expect color-coded whiteboard markers. I laughed and replied, perfect. A touch of art to brighten up those business spreadsheets. The thoughts made Brody smile. What have I gotten myself into? I have muttered. I spent the morning earlier meticulously transforming a corner of his office breakfast area into a cozy workspace. The gentle clink of utensils and soft murmur of conversation filled the office kitchen room as I arranged colorful notepads, markers, and a neatly organized schedule for the day. The air smelled faintly of coffee and freshly baked goods, a perfect backdrop for creativity and collaboration. As Brody emerged from the study, he exchanged a brief nod, a silent understanding of the agreement we had reached. Their arrangement was clear, fair payment terms with a clean exit plan should things ever go wrong. With that in mind, we were ready to balance both professional responsibilities and the lighthearted moments of everyday life. Brody's son, Ethan, crept into the office kitchen with a bright smile, his eyes alight with anticipation. "Good morning, Ruby." He greeted me cheerfully, eager to join in the morning office ritual. I knelt to his level and warmly replied, "Good morning, Ethan. Today we're going to make pancakes after working together. Are you ready to become a pancake artist?" His nod of enthusiastic agreement was the spark that set the day in motion. Later that afternoon back at Brody's house, Ethan and I got to work. I guided him through each step, measuring flour, whisking eggs, and folding in just the right amount of milk. Brody watched from the counter, offering a supportive smile while occasionally stepping in to adjust the heat on the griddle. We worked brilliantly together. Ethan and I forgot the day's hectic work. We were totally engrossed in making tasty pancakes. I added playful touches, a sprinkle of cinnamon here, a handful of chocolate chips there, ensuring the pancakes were not just tasty, but a little work of art. Despite careful planning, a small mistake occurred. The family cat, drawn by the commotion and curious about the delicious aromas, leaped onto the counter. In one swift, unexpected moment, the cat nudged a freshly prepared stack of pancakes. They tumbled to the floor in a cascade of syrup and flour. Instead of frustration, I burst into laughter. "Well, that's one way to redecorate the kitchen," I exclaimed with a twinkle in my eye. Brody, equally amused, joined in with my light-hearted remark, "I suppose even the cat wants to be part of our creative process." Ethan giggled uncontrollably as Brody calmly gathered the fallen pancakes, ensuring not a single moment of joy was lost. The relaxed afternoon, however, was abruptly interrupted by the doorbell ringing at the front door. Brody's expression shifted slightly as he opened it to reveal a representative from the management office of the construction firm, a stern woman carrying an air of urgency. "Good morning, Mr. Brody," the representative chatted away to him. His tone made it clear that this was no casual visit. She detailed concerns raised by her senior members, citing specific issues that needed immediate attention. Inside, the warm atmosphere shifted subtly as Brody's attention turned toward resolving the emerging conflict. "I understand these concerns need addressing," he said in a composed tone, his mind already sorting through the necessary steps. I continued with the pancake making with Ethan. I was determined to impress Brody. I methodically reassembled the pancakes on a plate, also clearing up the scattered utensils and documents, ensuring that even amid external pressures, the workspace remained a symbol of our collaborative spirit. While Brody engaged in a measured conversation with the promising follow-up meetings and clear action plans, I focused on maintaining the balance of order and creativity at home. My steady presence was a reminder that, together, we could navigate even the most unexpected challenges. In that moment, the blend of making pancakes and family life revealed an exciting feeling despite life's chaos. My partnership endured interruptions and setbacks. Our adaptability and support, whether cooking at home or handling work issues, promised a future of respect, flexibility, and finding joy amid the challenges. After the representative left, a heavy stillness fell over the house, a pause between the external demands of the day and the warmth of their shared space. Brody lingered around the doorway for a moment, rubbing his temples as he processed the concerns raised by Mrs. Harrison. Across the room, I continued my work with steady resolution, carefully rearranging the pancake station and tidying up the workspace. The lingering scent of coffee and the faint aroma of syrup and flour mingled with an undercurrent of determination. Once the visitor departed, Brody stepped back into the kitchen, his expression softening as he found me gently guiding Ethan through a new pancake decoration technique. With a reassuring smile, he said, "Thanks for keeping things on track, Ruby. Today's been a bit more challenging than I expected." I offered a warm nod. "We are in this together, Brody." Even when the day throws unexpected hurdles our way, a little organization and maybe a bit of creativity can go a long way. Ethan, who had been meticulously arranging sliced strawberries into what he called pancake art, chimed in, "Auntie, Dad, look. I made a new design." His innocent enthusiasm filled the room with a burst of energy, momentarily dispelling the morning's tension. Brody took a deep breath, allowing himself a moment of levity. Sometimes I think these pancakes are like life. They might spill over, get a little messy, but they still taste great in the end. He glanced over at me, his eyes crinkled in a smile, reflecting both mischief and determination. After breakfast, Brody retreated to his office to plan a meeting with his office colleagues, attempting to address the issues raised and finding constructive solutions. Meanwhile, I gathered my notes and recipes, brainstorming ideas on how to use our shared passion for creative cooking to foster a stronger sense of community, not just within the household, but perhaps even with the office workers. When Brody returned later that afternoon, the air felt lighter. He found me with Ethan perched on a stool at the counter, flipping through a small notebook filled with sketches of pancake designs and ideas for an office pancake workshop outside hours. "I've been thinking," I said thoughtfully, "what if we hosted a weekend pancake session at the community center just for the office workers and their families? A little event where everyone could join in the recipes and even learn a thing or two about finding joy in the unexpected." Brody's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "That is a brilliant idea. It could be a way to bring us all together and ease some of the tensions around here, and maybe even build a bit of a reputation for us, but also for my fellow co-workers." Ethan clapped his hands in delight. "I want to help. I can show everyone my dinosaur designs," he exclaimed. The innocence of his excitement was a reminder of the simple joys they had been striving to preserve. As dusk settled over the town, Brody and I sat together on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of gold and pink. The events of the morning had been a stark reminder of life's unpredictability, yet here we were, finding solace in each other's presence and in the small, meaningful moment that punctuated their day. In that quiet twilight, Brody reflected aloud, "It seems no matter what chaos comes our way, there's always a chance to reset, to turn a spilled pancake into something beautiful." I reached for his hand. My voice was soft yet resolved. "We may not have all the answers right now, but together, we can face whatever comes our way, even if that means a few more spilled pancakes along the way." And so, with plans for a community pancake workshop taking root, there was a renewed sense of partnership. The day's challenges began to fade into the promise of a future built on collaboration, creativity, and the willingness to embrace both one another despite the occasional delightful mess from that morning with Ethan. 3. A whirlwind of emotions. I entered the bright, buzzing community center earlier that day, excitement coursing through me as I prepared to lead a parenting workshop alongside my colleagues from the office. The anticipation of sharing my insights with parents and children filled me with purpose. As the workshop began, I felt assured in my dual roles, seamlessly blending my professional prowess with my nurturing instincts. I spotted Ethan, with his usual exuberance, running ahead in his beloved Dino socks. Seeing him so animated warmed my heart. His vibrant energy mirrored the creativity I had been experiencing at work, all thanks to the confidence Brody's support had given me. "Ruby, ready for another engaging day?" called one of the other parents, her voice filled with camaraderie as we moved toward the activity room dotted with interactive stations. "Absolutely. I am looking forward to experimenting with new ideas both here and back in the office," I replied, my tone brimming with excitement. As I guided activities with a natural ease, I recognized how my experiences leading office meetings effortlessly translated into facilitating group activities with families. It felt exhilarating to bridge the gap between my worlds. Meanwhile, I noticed Brody standing nearby, and I couldn't help but admire him as he observed me leading the workshop. Watching me command the room and inspire not only the children but the parents too filled him with quiet admiration. I realized how our contrasting approaches, his structured nature complementing my warmth and creativity, strengthened our connection both in the community and through our collaborative work endeavors. Remember to keep it light and fun, I suggested during a storytelling exercise, imitating animal sounds to spark laughter. Brody, despite his usual hesitance, soon found himself swept up in that moment. Give it a go, Brody, I encouraged him, my eyes twinkling with mischief. His smile grew, and as he embraced the silliness, I felt a rewarding satisfaction watching him engage with Ethan in these new ways. It felt like a deepening bond growing between us, reflecting not only our personal relationship, but also our shared aspirations at work. While assisting with crafting activities, I took a moment to reflect on how far we had come. My thoughts drifted back to how I had watched Brody's confidence bloom in both personal and professional spheres. Yet, amid the joy of the day, a passing comment from another parent brought back a swirl of complex emotions. "Ruby, you are a natural. He is lucky to have someone nurturing like you," the parent remarked, nodding appreciatively towards Brody and Ethan. The remark stirred something within me. While I cherished my role in Ethan's life and the journey I was sharing with Brody, the implications of being viewed as a maternal figure sent ripples through my heart. What boundaries were being crossed, and what did this mean for my feelings for Brody? I glanced at him, now engaged in another lively conversation with Ethan. His easy laughter and relaxed demeanor spoke volumes about our shared journey, and I recognized the beauty in what we were building together. As the workshop wound down and families began to leave, the connection I felt with Brody remained strong. He leaned closer to me and asked, "Want to grab a coffee at my place?" His voice carried a casual comfort that made me smile. "Sure, that sounds great," I replied, grateful for his steady presence, my heart tugging at the intricate dance of affection that had begun to flourish between us. When we arrived at Brody's home, he loosened his tie and pulled me close to him. I could feel the warmth of his body and the rapid beat of his heart, and in that embrace, I surrendered to the moment. With each gentle kiss, a ripple of energy coursed through me, igniting a sense of belonging I had never anticipated. This connection with Brody felt utterly transformative, filled with a profound sense of love. We kissed. I felt a wave of desire wash over me, longing to explore every part of this man. Brody took my hand and led me to the bedroom, where we sank onto his king-sized bed. His fingers traced the contours of my half-dressed body, each touch igniting a blossoming warmth that spread throughout me. I responded with equal fervor, our chemistry manifesting in an intimate dance that was both exhilarating and comforting. "Brody," I breathed, my voice barely above a whisper as I leaned in closer, our lips brushing against one another. "You make it so easy to lose yourself at this moment." "That's the magic between us," he replied, brushing his thumb gently along my jawline, his gaze unwavering as it locked onto mine. "You bring out the best in me." The passion enveloping us was palpable, saturating the air with an electric energy as we ventured deeper into each other's warmth. With Philip Glass piano melodies softly playing in the background, it was to fit together, each kiss and touch deepening the emotional connection we had forged. As we lay entwined in the soft sheets, I felt the tension of the outside world melt away, leaving just the two of us cocooned in love and the promise of our shared journey. Brody's hands, warm and reassuring, explored freely along my back, igniting a spark of excitement with every gentle graze. "I want to build a life with you, Ruby," he murmured, his husky voice with emotion. "I want us to be partners in everything, our careers, our dreams, and our family." His words made my heart flutter. I pulled away slightly, searching his eyes for sincerity. I found it there, deep admiration mingled with something more profound. You and Ethan mean everything to me, Brody, I replied, feeling my voice thick with emotion. I never imagined I could find this kind of connection, but I want to make sure we navigate this together. I do not want us to lose sight of our individual passions or feelings for one another. As Brody nodded with his expression steady, he said in a soft voice, "We will not lose each other. I promise. Our dreams will elevate each other, and I will always support you, no matter where your journey takes you." Emboldened by our shared commitments, I leaned in once more, capturing his lips with mine, a kiss filled with promises of what was yet to come. The world outside faded into the background as we delved deeper into our connection, our bodies moving in perfect harmony under the soft light. Each caress and whispered word became a testament to our evolving bond, reinforcing how profoundly we complemented one another. Shortly as the night unfolded, we lay together in the flickering candlelight, the stars shining through the window. I nestled into Brody's side, wrapping my arms around him, feeling safe and cherished. The night transformed into a celebration of our love, each moment solidifying the foundation of a life that would thrive on romance and chemistry. "I can't wait to see what the future holds for us, Ruby," Brody said softly, running his fingers through my hair, his eyes twinkling with affection. "Neither can I replied, my voice thick with emotion. "Whatever comes next, I know we'll face it together." Just then, the soft sound of the wind rustling through the trees outside whispered promises of possibility. In that intimate cocoon, I realized that we had truly come full circle, anchoring ourselves in love and ambition as we prepared to dive into the adventures that awaited us. As I lay there beside Brody, the soft rhythm of his heartbeat served as a soothing lullaby, lulling me deeper into contentment. The amber light flickering from the candle illuminated the room, casting gentle shadows that danced across the walls as if mirroring the warmth that filled my heart. My thoughts danced between the joy of our connection and the promise of a future that felt both thrilling and secure, one that I had not fully dared to envision until now. I reflected on how far we had come, transforming from colleagues to friends, and now to something much deeper. Our relationship had blossomed from shared laughter in the office to heartfelt discussions about life, love, and our aspirations for the future. Each moment we spent together seemed to knit our lives closer, intertwining our dreams and hopes into a beautiful tapestry. The sense of partnership we were building felt both exhilarating and grounding. Outside, the world lay cloaked in night, a tranquil silence reigning with the stars twinkling down at us like gentle reminders of the endless possibilities that lie ahead. I marveled at the idea that we had embarked on this journey together, not just in our personal lives but professionally as well. With plans of community workshops, joint projects, and shared family moments on the horizon, I realized how intimately intertwined our lives had become. The soft sound of the wind rustling through the trees outside created a soundtrack of serenity that washed over me. I couldn't help but smile as I envisioned the adventures that awaited us. Weekend getaways filled with laughter, late-night brainstorming sessions over cups of coffee, and quiet evenings spent in each other's arms. There would be challenges and hurdles to overcome, no doubt, but with Brody by my side, I felt a newfound confidence in tackling anything that came our way. The warmth of his presence made me feel a surge of gratitude for all the experiences that had led me to this moment. The uncertainty and solitude I had experienced before felt like distant memories. In their place stood hope and directional clarity of purpose I had long sought. Brody was not only my partner in business, he was also the anchor that grounded me emotionally, the person who believed in me and inspired me to become my best self. The continued flickering of the candlelight etched a soft glow around us. I turned slightly to face him. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I saw a reflection of my own feelings mirrored in his gaze. It was a silent communication that transcended words, a promise that we were embarking on this journey together, no matter where it might lead us. "Tomorrow holds endless opportunities," I whispered to him, feeling a surge of affection as I traced my fingers gently along his arm. "I can't wait to see what awaits us." His lips curved into a smile, and he pulled me closer, his warmth enveloping me in a cocoon of safety. Whatever it is, we'll face it together, he replied, his voice low and reassuring. I have no doubt we're capable of creating something incredible side by side. Feeling the weight of his words and the sincerity behind them deepened my appreciation for our bond. I planted a soft kiss on Brody's forehead, the intimacy of the gesture encapsulating all the warmth I felt in my heart. You mean a lot to me, Brody. Thank you for being you, I murmured, hoping to convey just how significant he had become in my life. While my eyelids grew heavy from the peaceful atmosphere, I gradually surrendered to the embrace of sleep. Dreams began to swirl in my mind, painting vivid pictures of the future I hoped to cultivate, with Brody and Ethan by my side. I envisioned laughter echoing through the house, the aroma of fresh pancakes filling the kitchen, and moments of quiet togetherness shared over cups of tea. The night wrapped around us like a cozy blanket, and I realized that this was just the beginning of something truly extraordinary life, where we could build dreams together, anchored in a love that would only grow stronger with each passing day. With a final contented sigh, I let myself drift further into slumber, filled with anticipation for the promise of tomorrow and all that it would bring. 4. Crossed wires. B. Brody sat at the head of the conference table, rubbing his temples as he attempted to focus on the agenda in front of him. The aftermath of the office workshop felt like a whirlwind, and all he could think about was my contagious laughter, my vibrant ideas, and the warmth that had seamlessly enveloped his little family. Yet, alongside those joyful thoughts brewed an unease, a fear of the shift I was bringing into his life. The more he tried to reel in those feelings, the more they tumbled out of control. He felt unmoored, standing on the precipice of change, resisting the pull as if he might fall into an unknown abyss. As he turned his attention back to the board meeting, the office colleagues discussed the latest financial projections, but all he could envision was my enthusiastic pitch about organizing a community pancake workshop with him and Ethan imagining his son playing dinosaur battles in his living room. How do you want to proceed with this budget allocation, Brody? Asked Lisa, his office secretary, snapping him out of his thoughts. Right, he said, fumbling for the figures I had just moments ago studying with Brody. I glanced at the account number sitting at a table nearby, but all I could see was his bright smile and the joy he brought into my life. I think we should adjust some funds toward innovation initiatives. Innovation. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Brody, are you pulling that from somewhere, or was this influenced by our earlier conversations? Her question lingered in the air, heavy with implications that made the other team members exchange glances, their discomfort palpable. Heat rushed to my cheeks from what I overheard. It is important to engage with our community and explore new avenues. If we do not take steps toward transformation, we risk stagnation, he replied, trying to sound confident while he was fully aware he was veering off course. Sounds a lot like something your new accountant Ruby might be able to help you with, someone remarked, their tone echoing through the conference room. Yes, right, he mumbled, annoyed at the relentless connection they were trying to draw. It's just, Brody, does she have you wrapped around her finger or something? Lisa teased, a smirk curling at the edges of her lips. Of course not. It is not like that, he insisted, the dismissal rolling off his tongue more defensively than he intended. He caught me glancing at him down the table, where he suppressed a knowing smile. But deep down, he felt the tug of truth in his playful jibe. I was softening him in ways he did not think possible, making him reconsider how he should approach both life and work. Was that a good thing? Or was it opening him up to vulnerabilities that could lead to trouble? After the meeting wrapped up, he returned to his office, the weight of distraction trailing closely behind me. While settling down in just that same instance, his assistant, Maggie, popped her head around the office door frame, a playful glimmer in her eye. "What's going on with you today?" she asked, crossing her arms. "I can practically see the little hearts flying around you. Did Ruby sprinkle magic dust onto you?" "Very funny, Maggie. I am just focused on my work," he replied, attempting to maintain a facade of professionalism while internally grappling with the truth of her observation. But Maggie's teasing continued, and her expression softened. "Look, I am just saying, you have been a little less worried with work these days, and well, it is nice." Who doesn't love Brody? With a bit of levity. Just focus on your own work, he said, irritation creeping into his voice, but he could not hide the smile forming on his lips. As Maggie turned to leave, her laughter echoed behind her, and her thoughts began swirling again. Could it be that I had an impact on his attitude and approach to life? He had not let anyone in since his marriage had fallen apart, a thought that sent a quick shiver down his spine. Memories flooded back, moments of strain, feelings of betrayal, and the lasting impact of a broken family. Did my growing presence threaten his resolve to protect Ethan from that same pain? His thoughts spiraled before another noise pulled him from my melancholy, his phone buzzing with a familiar tone. His heart sank when he saw the name flashing on the screen. Jessica. I whispered, uncertainty flooding in. He had not heard from his ex-wife in months. What could she possibly want? With a mix of hesitation and resignation, he answered. Hello, Brody. Jessica's voice came through, cool and composed, but it carried an edge of urgency that set me on high alert. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important, but we really need to talk. Is everything okay? He inquired, with a hint of worry rising within him. What's going on? It is about Ethan. We need to discuss his upcoming birthday party, she replied over the phone. The somewhat casual tone in her voice brought forth a flood of memories, of planning, stress, and reminders of his past marital strife. He exhaled slowly, feeling a wave of apprehension passing over him. We talked about this already. I thought we agreed on a joint celebration with my family and yours. It is the easiest way to manage it. Joint celebration is still in play, but I have a couple of ideas that might be better received with the new arrangements. I didn't want to catch you off guard, but I've been talking to someone about the party planning, and things have changed, Jessica said with a clear tone in her voice. What changes? You are not throwing this into another spiraling chaos, are you? Jessica, the budget was already tight and I didn't want to change it at the last minute. What are you suggesting? His voice strained with tension. I am suggesting we collaborate with someone new, someone who has connections to turn this party into something memorable. Support in finding promotional partnerships could help. Her excitement spilled over the line. The mention of partnerships twisted in Brody's gut, mirroring exactly what was happening with the office workshop ideas with mine. Partnerships can interfere with visions, Jessica. What is more important? A big show of a party, or ensuring that Ethan is happy with something simple? Brody, at least consider it. I also know more about Ruby's idea from her community workshop. It would be good for my image, too, to get involved, Jessica stated smoothly, thinking that the revelation would pacify him. He stiffened at her last remark, feeling a sharp annoyance clawing at him. Are you really tying Ethan's party to corporate image? This is not about us. It is about him. Exactly. It is about him, but it is about making sure we stay connected no matter what, she insisted, but I could sense the undercurrent of tension in her tone. We continued to debate, but with each exchange, he felt more entrenched in growing frustration, fueling my internal conflict about me and the feelings he still struggled to understand. Brody thought back to the warmth and excitement he felt during the workshop and how I had sparked a light in his hectic life. Why was it so difficult for Jessica to see that? Look, he finally said, his voice firm. I want to put Ethan first. Let us get through this. We will meet to talk about the party details later, but I will not compromise on what he deserves. Fine, Jessica snapped, the tension palpable through the phone. But you'd better think this through, Brody. You have a habit of putting up walls. With that, the call ended abruptly, leaving him staring at the phone in frustration. The echoes of the conversation replayed in his mind, wrestling with his emotions as he read back in his chair. Just then, I walked back into the office, having finished speaking with the workers for the workshop gathering. Is everything all right? He asked, noticing my furrowed brow. He forced a smile, the weight of the call still hanging heavily around him. Just some family complexities. You know how it goes. Does it have to do with Ethan's birthday? He asked, his voice taking on a more serious tone. Yes, he admitted, his voice hesitant. But it's complicated. I stepped closer, my tone softening. You can talk to me, Brody. I am here for that. I want to support you through this. As he stood there, warmth radiating from my presence, I felt the same walls he had built around his heart begin to solidify. The unspoken feelings and budding affection he harbored for me clashed with his responsibilities as a father. "Thanks, Ruby," he said, trying to keep his expression neutral even as emotions roiled within. "I appreciate it. I really do." But as we stood there, that moment of warmth quickly slipped away, replaced once more by the weight of his responsibilities. It felt like the barriers he had erected to keep his personal life separate from his professional obligations were resurrecting themselves, closing off the connection that was just beginning to blossom. "Brody, are you sure you're all right? You seem distant." I pressed with concern as I searched his face for answers. "I just had a conversation with Jessica, my ex-partner," he confessed, feeling a current of frustration arising back. "She is all over the place with Ethan's birthday plans, trying to make it some grand event. It is like she doesn't understand what really matters." I nodded with a neutral expression. That must be tough. It is hard when co-parenting becomes a tug-of-war. But you are his dad and you know what he needs. "Exactly," he replied, breathing deeply. "But when Jessica starts making it about her image rather than what is best for Ethan, it throws me off. And now, with the pressure from work and everything else, I feel like I am losing control." "Brody," I said softly, stepping closer, "you are doing the best you can. Just try to focus on what you want for Ethan, not what anyone else expects, not even Jessica." Her words sunk in deeper than I anticipated, igniting a flicker of confidence in me. I recalled the laughter and warmth we had shared during the workshop and how much I wanted that same joy for Ethan. "Thanks," he murmured again, gratitude infusing his voice. "It helps to know someone has my back." As I smiled, a weight began to lift, and he allowed himself to breathe a little easier. Just as I thought we were finding our way, Ethan bounded into the room, excitement radiating from his small frame.
"Dad."
"Aunt Ruby, can we build a fort now?" he begged, bouncing on his feet. "Of course," I responded, instantly transforming into the playful figure Ethan adored. "We will need some blankets and pillows. And do not forget the dinosaur plushies." As I closed the office for the afternoon, we all made our way home to unwind. I have watched my effortless connection with Ethan, a tender warmth blooming inside of me. Seeing her create a safe and joyful space for his son made realize how lucky he was to have her in his life. As they built the fort together, laughter and giggles filled the room, mingled with chaotic enthusiasm. I playfully threw pillows at Ethan, and as I held the blankets to form the fort walls, I felt a genuine sense of happiness. "Watch out. Here comes the T-Rex," Ethan shouted, running around us in a playful frenzy. "Quick, defend the fort," I yelled in return, clearly reveling in the joyful chaos. But as he joined in, the sound of our laughter gradually faded into the background, and my nagging doubts crept back into my mind. I wanted this warmth and connection with Brody, but how long could we dance around the reality of his responsibilities? Just then, the familiar chime of my phone interrupted the fun, and he glanced at the screen, his heart sinking when he saw Jessica's name flashing across it again. He muttered under his breath, "Ugh, not now," hesitating to pick up the call. I noticed the shift in his midwife and asked gently whether it was Jessica again. He acknowledged, feeling torn between the light-hearted atmosphere we had created and the weight of reality pressing down on us. "I should probably take this," he told me. "I'll just be a minute." He encouraged himself to go ahead, his voice soft yet firm. "I'll keep Ethan entertained," I assured him, and he stepped into the hallway to take the call, unable to shake the sense that this moment was pivotal for his relationship with Ruby and his struggle to balance his role as a father and a professional. "Hello," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady as he distanced himself from the laughter and warmth in the room. Jessica's voice came through, unmistakably serious, and the gravity of her tone set off alarm bells in my mind. There was an urgency in her words that made it clear things were not right on her end. As she launched into a discussion about the need to finalize the birthday party plans for Ethan, he felt a surge of irritation rise within him. He wished he could push aside the tension swirling around our lives, but it seemed impossible. Jessica emphasized her expectations and the complications in her plans. Frustration bubbled over. I was aware of the promises I'd made and the commitments I was supposed to uphold, but the pressure felt unbearable. He could feel the walls closing in, pushing away the light he had brought into his life, just as Jessica's words began to twist and pull at his resolve. With every exchange, Brody felt more entrenched in frustration, tangled up in the contradictions of wanting what's best for Ethan while navigating the complexities of co-parenting with Jessica. The idea that Jessica could perceive me as overshadowing our relationship frustrated him immensely. He wanted to protect the light that I brought on both him and Ethan. That sentiment resonated deeply within Brody as he stood in the hallway, the laughter of the fort-building session echoing faintly behind him. Jessica's sharp reminders about expectations weighed heavily, and the conversation began to twist further into chaos. In the end, my patience frayed. He could see that his life was becoming a delicate balancing act, teetering between the past and present, with my illuminating paths he never thought he would dare to explore. The complexity of it all loomed over him as he faced the reality of his situation. And as he ended the call abruptly, he found himself standing there, wrestling with emotions that left him feeling more vulnerable and unsettled than he had expected.
5.
Ethan's birthday bash.
T.
The sun shone brightly on the day of Ethan's birthday, casting a warm glow over Brody's backyard, which had been transformed into a festive wonderland. Colorful streamers danced in the gentle breeze, and a giant inflatable dinosaur loomed proudly at one end of the lawn. I stood at the center of the organized chaos, tying balloons together with nimble fingers, my heart racing with anticipation and excitement. "Are the cupcakes ready?" Brody called out, glancing toward the kitchen window where I was busy preparing the last treats. "Almost. They just need a little more time," I responded, infusing my voice with enthusiasm that mingled seamlessly with the celebratory spirit of the day. I could hear the distant chatter of guests arriving, their laughter blending with the joyous sounds around me. Ethan was running around, overflowing with energy, darting between family and friends as they arrived. "Auntie," he shouted at one point, pausing mid-sprint to look back at me. "Is everyone going to love the party?" "They're going to love it, sweetie. Just wait until they see your Dino fort," I reassured him. My fondness for Brody's was evident in every word. Watching how effortlessly I connected with Ethan filled me with warmth, and I felt at home in this moment. It was moments like these that made me wish this could be our everyday reality, yet a pang of uncertainty flickered at the back of my mind. What would my future at work look like? As the last guest tricked in, I spotted Jessica moving about, chatting with some family members. The tension from her earlier visits loomed still, and I hoped today would bring moments of joy rather than conflict. I felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation rippling through me. Jessica seemed relatively passive today, but I could sense the underlying tension in the air, making me hyper-aware of how easily the dynamics could shift. "Hey, Ruby." Jessica greeted me suddenly, a bright smile plastered on her face. "Everything looks lovely. I appreciate you handling so much of this." "Thank you, Jessica," I responded, keeping my tone upbeat, even though I sensed my sincerity felt strained. "We just want a day to be special for Ethan." "Of course," she replied, but I caught a flicker of something in her gaze, a hint of possessiveness that threatened to pierce my confidence. As the party officially began, I led a round of games filled with laughter and joy, my spirit soaring as the children engaged in Dino-themed activities. Ethan's laughter ranged out, pure and bright, filling my chest with affection. When it was finally time for cake, I could feel the excitement in the air reaching a new peak. It was the moment they had all been waiting for, and I helped Ethan blow out the candles on his cake, a glorious creation decorated with colorful dinosaurs and sparkling candles. "There's one for each of your friends," I exclaimed, leaning in closer to Ethan, feeling his excitement radiate beside me. "Make a wish, buddy." "Good job, Ethan," Brody encouraged with pride, watching his son close his eyes tightly, brow furrowing with concentration. Once the cake was cut and everyone gathered for dessert, I felt a rush of happiness, seeing the smiles on the children's faces. Engaging with the parents, sharing laughter and stories, pulled me deeper into the community I was beginning to embrace. Just as I settled into the warmth of the moment, Jessica interjected, her presence looming like a dark shadow. Don't you think we should save some of the cake for when he opens his gifts? You know how parties can get chaotic. I noticed Brody glance at me, a flicker of irritation passing across his features, but he kept his tone steady. We will manage, Jessica. Let us focus on enjoying the moment right now. Ethan's face lit up at the idea of gifts, and I quickly redirected the conversation. You are right. Let us gather around for Ethan to open his presents. We can save some cake for later. As the group moved to gather around, I could feel the tension tighten in Jessica's expression. My heart raced as I sensed how easily this celebration could spiral into conflict. Ethan, are you ready? I called out, excitement bubbling in my voice. Yeah, gifts. Ethan shouted, his face lighting up with glee as he tore into the first present, revealing a shiny new toy. The room erupted into cheers as he held up a T-Rex triumphantly, eyes sparkling with joy. Look, Dad. It's a T-Rex. I have exclaimed. That's awesome, buddy. The best birthday gift ever. Brody said, smiling proudly. I felt a surge of happiness as I took in the scene. The connection between father and son felt palpable and genuine, fueling my own affection for them both. Ethan moved quickly to the next gift, a beautifully wrapped box adorned with colorful paper. Open it! Open it! The other children shouted, their excitement fueling his eagerness. Yes. Let's see what is inside. I encouraged, clapping my hands together to heighten the anticipation. As Ethan expertly opened the wrapping, I couldn't shake the feeling that the atmosphere around us was near perfect, filled with laughter and love. But just as I began to settle into the warmth of the moment, Jessica's voice cut through the joy. Ethan, make sure you save some room for the cake. We wouldn't want you to spoil your dinner. Mom, I can eat cake anytime, Ethan protested, rolling his eyes playfully, but clearly excited about his new toy. Yes, but I want you to be able to enjoy it later. We must keep things on schedule, Jessica insisted, her firm demeanor casting a sudden chill over what had been a lively gathering. I exchanged a glance with Brody, who appeared equally troubled by Jessica's interruption. He tried to maintain a sense of calm, his eyes searching the room for support. Let's just enjoy the opening of gifts for now, he said, his voice carrying a gentle authority that managed to sway the mood back toward laughter. Ethan deserves that, don't you think? Ethan vigorously, a grin plastered across his face as he continued to dive into present after present. With each unwrapped gift came cheers and applause from the children, their energy infectious. I watched the chaos unfold, feeling an exhilarating sense of belonging as I reveled in their joy. Then came the moment Ethan opened his art set. A spark ignited in his eyes, and my heart swelled as I imagined all the creative projects he could tackle with it. That is great. Can we make a Dino mural? Ethan asked with uncontainable excitement. Absolutely. We will have to work on that together, I replied, trying to keep my voice upbeat, even as a knot tightened in my stomach. As the party continued, I noticed Jessica talking quietly to some of the other parents, casting sidelong glances toward Brody and me. The tension felt palpable, and I could not shake the sensation that Jessica was quietly orchestrating a plan to undermine the happiness we were all trying to cultivate. Finally, as the time for cake approached, I felt the weight of the impending moment settle in. The cake decorated with colorful frosting and dinosaur figurines sat waiting, yet an underlying sense of dread crept in as I noticed Jessica's expression, a mix of determination and calculation. Attempting to redirect the atmosphere, I suggested, let's make a toast. I wanted to bring attention back to the celebration, to Ethan, to family, friendship, and making memories together. Everyone raised their glasses, and their voices filled the air in a chorus of goodwill. However, I could still sense the tension lurking beneath the surface. Brody looked at me, and I noticed a flicker of unease shadowing his features, as if unresolved issues were threatening to unravel the joyous occasion. The candles on the cake flickered brightly. Ethan leaned forward, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Can we all sing before I blow out the candles? Absolutely. On 3, I said, leading the room in song, my heart soaring with the energy of celebration. However, just as we finished singing and the atmosphere felt buoyant again, I could not ignore the intrusive thought creeping back into my mind. Brody's decision to offer me a new job stirred feelings of excitement, but Jessica's controlling nature threatened to pull my happiness away. Once the candles were extinguished, laughter and cheer returned to the room briefly, allowing me to reveal in the moment. I turned to Brody to share in the joy, but my heart sank as I caught sight of Jessica staring at us, her expression unreadable. The tension thickened, and I felt a knot tighten in my stomach again. "Brody," Jessica called out, her voice rising above the cheerful chaos. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" Brody hesitated, glancing back at me, concern etched across his features. "Yeah, just a second," he replied reluctantly, setting aside the cake plate as he stood up. My excitement drained slightly as I watched him follow Jessica to the side of the yard, their heads bent low as they engaged in a hushed conversation. The joy that had filled the air moments ago felt like it was slipping away, replaced by uncertainty and tension. "Is Dad going to be okay?" Ethan asked, his excitement dimming as he looked up at me, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "I hope so, sweetie. Sometimes adults just need to talk about things," I reassured him, although I could feel my own anxiety beginning to gnaw at my heart. I started to wonder if it would always be like this, the interruption of happiness by unresolved conflicts from the past. Watching Brody walk away with Jessica felt like a shadow creeping over the party, dimming the vibrant energy that had previously filled the backyard. I knelt to Ethan's level, forcing a smile onto my face to alleviate his concern. "Hey, look at all these amazing gifts you're getting." I pointed to the pile of colorful wrapping paper and boxes scattered around. "Let's see what else is waiting for you." Ethan's eyes brightened, his excitement rekindling as he clutched his new dinosaur toy. "Can we play with all of them later, Aunt Ruby?" he asked, his innocence shining through. "Absolutely. We can have the best dino adventure ever," I replied, my heart warmed at his enthusiasm. I tapped into that same energy, hoping to divert any lingering tension. As Ethan excitedly dug into another present, I forced myself to look away from Brody and Jessica. I wanted to dismiss the thoughts swirling over the impending discussion and their implications, but the nagging concern lingered. I continued to engage with the other parents, sharing laughter over stories of their childhood experiences and how much fun it was to participate in events like this for their kids. However, each time I glanced over at Brody and Jessica, I noticed the way Jessica leaned in closer to him, her body language exuding possessiveness. I could feel the corner of my heart tightening with frustration and uncertainty. I didn't want her to overshadow the happy atmosphere we were trying to create for Ethan's special day, and watching them interact began to feel suffocating. Just then, some of the other parents began to gather around, bringing more laughter back into the air. Someone made a joke about their own birthday experiences, and that got everyone chiming in with tales of chaotic birthday parties. I breathed a small sigh of relief as their enthusiasm began to drown out the noise of tension. But the moment did not last long. Just as I was feeling a sense of belonging wash over me again, I noticed Jessica shooting glances our way, eyes narrowed as if she were surveying a territory she intended to reclaim. The smile I had been wearing felt fragile now, as if it could crack at any moment. I tried to focus on Ethan. His innocent joy was my primary anchor, but I couldn't help feeling turned. This party was supposed to celebrate him, but the undertones of Jessica's presence loomed ever larger. "Come on, buddy. Let us see what else you have got," I encouraged Ethan, breaking into his world of excitement again. He quickly tore through another present, revealing a set of dinosaur-themed pajamas.
"Look.
Now I can be a dino when I sleep." His laughter ranged out, and I felt immense pride at his ability to find joy even amidst the chaos. We continued the gift-opening frenzy. I glanced back at Brody and Jessica, whose conversation was getting intense. I could see Brody's furrowed brow. He looked like he was trying to keep the peace. My frustration ignited again, threatening to extinguish the joy emanating from the kids and our cozy gathering. I desperately wished that Jessica could leave well enough alone for the sake of Ethan's happiness. Eventually, I found the courage to approach Brody while carrying a wrapped gift that Ethan had just opened. Hey, could you come over here for a second? I called, trying to keep my voice light, even though uncertainty curled in the corners of my mind. He turned away from Jessica and walked over to me, a mix of relief and hesitation evident on his face. Everything okay? He asked, his brows still slightly knit as if the tensions had yet to dissipate. Ethan is doing well with his presence. He needs his dad's help to tackle this gift, I said, holding the box up toward him with a smile. Brody's smile broadened as he glanced at Ethan, who was waiting eagerly for him. Of course. What is in that one? He asked, looking back at Ethan, his demeanor shifting into the playful father I admired. Just before Ethan could rip into the box, Jessica called out from a distance. Brody, we need to finalize the birthday arrangements. There it was again, that sharp edge in her voice that cut through the happiness. I felt my heart sink momentarily. Brody hesitated, glancing back at Jessica, and then at me. I could see the conflict dance across his face, his paternal instinct tugging him towards Ethan, while obligation pulled him back toward Jessica. Just a second, Jessica, he said firmly, turning his focus back to Ethan. Let's see what's inside, buddy. Ethan grinned widely, practically bouncing on his feet as he tore away the wrapping. Inside was a set of building blocks embossed with dinosaur prints, and his squeal delight filled the air, contagious enough to spread to everyone around. This is the best, he shouted, his tiny hands fumbling with the box as he eagerly pulled the blocks out. Brody knelt beside him, excitement reflecting in his eyes as he helped Ethan line up the blocks, preparing for the next round of imaginative play. Look, Dad, we can build a dino fort, Ethan exclaimed, his imagination already running wild. I couldn't help but smile at the sight, feeling a warmth swell in my chest. Watching them together was a reminder of the bond they shared, a connection that filled me with hope for what our little family could become. The room erupted with laughter and joyful chatter as other children rushed over to join Ethan, eager to contribute to the construction of this dino fort. I stepped back, taking a moment to observe the scene, the colorful chaos, the booming laughter, and the festive decorations swaying gently in the breeze. It was a picture of pure happiness, one that seemed to dance in perfect harmony with the carefree atmosphere surrounding us. Just then, Brody caught my eye from across the room, a broad smile stretching across his face as he shared in the joy of the moment with Ethan. In that instant, I realized how deeply I had come to care for both, how intertwined our lives had become within this celebration. Despite the undercurrents of tension that still lingered from my earlier interactions with Jessica, I allowed myself to breathe, to savor this slice of joy. As the kids continued building the fort with shouts of delight, I felt renewed determination brewing within me. I dreaded the conflicts that loomed on the horizon, but if I kept my focus on the warmth of this shared experience, perhaps that light could guide us through darker moments. Today was a celebration of Ethan, yes, but it was also a celebration of the bonds we were forming, the laughter shared, and the hope that tomorrow could be just as bright. The end. Please continue to listen more about the author Rita Weston. Rita Weston. Born in England, Rita Weston discovered her passion for storytelling and embarked on her literary journey from a very young age. She has won several drama and literature competitions during her secondary school years in London. She has continued her university studies, graduating as an aviation engineer with honors and completing her postgraduate studies in the aerospace discipline at Kingston University. She has found encouragement and inspiration to dedicate herself to writing fiction with heart and purpose, specializing in contemporary romance, finding strong and complex women as protagonists. Her first novel explores themes such as love, healing, and the search for a home in unexpected places. She combines emotional depth with everyday magic. Her stories resonate with readers who believe it's never too late to rewrite their own narrative. She hopes to continue to create moving, character-driven novels that speak to men and women at every stage of their lives. This book is available in both forms, as an e-Kindle and paperback format on Amazon, UK, and now is available as an audiobook on YouTube.